We had some trivial but very important hands-on on identifiers and variables in basic SQL, Snowflake SQL. So let's just review what we did. We talked about SQL identifiers, and we mentioned that whenever you do not use the names double quoted, they are by default case insensitive. This means that you can type name all upper cases or lower cases or camel case or whatever mixed case. It will be stored internally in all upper cases. If you want it case sensitive, just double quote the name of the identifier. A name with n uppercase will be stored, and it will be stored the same the way it is. And just remember, you can have both name all upper cases and name, let's say, all lower cases as two different tables, columns, and so on in the database. Is not recommended at all, but this may happen. And yes, when you want to pass an identifier to a from clause, let's say in a select statement, you'll have to use at some point, the identifier built-in function, or eventually, yeah, definitely you can use a table function if this is supposed to return a table, and you pass a string, you pass the name of your table column or whatever as a string. Inside the string will be single quoted, but inside the string, you can use as well double quotes if your name is case sensitive. Another way to use this is to set a session variable and to pass the variable to your identifier or table function. The session variable, when used, is prefixed with a dollar sign. And yeah, we have the full name. The full name could be prefixed with a database schema if that's about a schema level object. Remember, you may have a account level object like objects in Snowflake, like warehouses, and storage integrations, and so on. Okay, we talked also more about JSON. So first of all, yeah, we refer uh, to another way to reference table columns by position with a dollar sign, and you can specify the position index with a prefix with a dollar sign. So select $1 refers to the first column in your query result or in your table in your view. And this works with any table type, including external tables or from stage files directly on files. We looked at the proper way to reference loaded JSON objects into a variant data type. We looked, first of all, how to load this, and we mentioned that, yes, definitely parse JSON, yes, should be used only in a select statement, not in a select clause into an insert or a create table statement. You cannot pass it into a values, so you cannot use insert values parse JSON. Okay, for the rest, uh, let's look at this example properly. So you loaded a JSON object with this specific structure, but V followed by a semicolon references a column name or the alias in this case. My object, OBG, is your top JSON object. It's your top property, let's say, in your dictionary, because a JSON object is a dictionary of key value pairs. Uh, Going further, you can refer to another a specific property, just like in Python. That's a dictionary, and you can refer to it by like an array, and you pass a key name. The key name will be single quoted, or you can use a dot notation because your property may appear like an attribute of an object of the specific object. If that's about an array, you refer to an array element, but by its numeric index, by its numeric position. So remember, when you use this type of indexing, for an array, use a number. For a property value, use a key name, which is a string. Okay, and at the end, definitely you can use a cast conversion as a suffix, especially if you have a string. If you don't use this string conversion, the value will appear double quoted. Finally, that's important. We have variables all over the place and they are different and we refer to them in a different manner with a different prefix. I know it's confusing sometimes, when you move from one environment to another, from a language to another, but this is it. You have session variables. Yeah? These are global variables, but for your session alone. Only you can see them. And you can set them, unset them, when you do this, yeah, definitely you show the variable with no prefix. You say set variable and you pass the value. Uh, we'll see later on how we can use them for the variable substitution. This would be something different. NoSQL, the CLI, has another type of variables where they can be used for variable substitution. We'll see this in detail later on. But for now, when you use a session variable, you have to prefix it with a dollar sign. And yeah, definitely use call show variables to see all your session variables and their values. Uh, you have local variables. We'll see right away. Yeah, we'll go deep into Snowflake scripting, and you see that there is another type of local variables you can define in a Snowflake scripting block. They can be declared. They can be initialized directly if not declared and used with a let keyword. And when used in inline SQL, they should be prefixed by the colon sign, like select column one, col one into var1, and you see the prefix here with a colon sign. I know it's confusing, a lot of prefixes and so on, but you have to deal with this. And the next kind of variables are used for parameterized queries. These are not actually variables as it is, but there are rather parameters, or what can I say, placeholders. You can use a question mark, uh, or you can use positional placeholders prefixed by the column. If you have the select column 1, column 2 to timestamp question mark column 2, all this should be replaced later on using binding variables. Finally, I had to mention this here because if you're a data engineer, in our uh, job, we use a lot of environment variables, and this could be in Linux, macOS, or this could be in Windows. In particular, also in PowerShell, they have different variables and so on. So you can set them, and you define them basically with set or export, yeah, globally or just for yourself, name value, and you refer to them prefixed eventually by the dollar sign, yeah, for bash, or you see for PowerShell you have to surround them by the percent sign. This is it, guys.